Ladies and gentlemen, there are many firearms that would like to compete for the first European firearm title. It is not an easy competition, but one of the guns is the Mörkö gun. This was found in the Baltic Sea, south of Stockholm, in Sweden, and it was found in 1828 without any historical context, but this is considered one of the earliest European guns. Of course, in China there were guns earlier, handguns earlier than the European ones, but this one is truly, probably one of the very first ones. Let's learn its history. Which is the oldest known European handgun? And does that really matter at all? Well, there are at least 4 or 5 guns that are in competition for that title. And probably the oldest one is the Losshult gun in Sweden, which looks very, very old. But unfortunately, there are no historical context behind it. First. Second, there is no any kind of indication on the gun itself about its production date. So it is very hard to date it. It's old for sure, but it is very hard to date it. The Swedish Mörkö gun, which I have in my hands, is also qualifying for the title, but there is no historical context here as well. And also there is no indication of the production date on the gun, which means it is very, very hard to date it. It's early gun, but it is very, very hard to date it. The earliest handgun that we can date in Europe is the Tannenberg-büchse. The Tannenberg-büchse was found under the ruins of the castle Tannenberg. And we know that that castle was destroyed in 1399, which means that it is a precise dating. We know that the Tannenberg-büchse was manufactured before 1399 for sure. Now, that's the only one that we can properly date. There is also a handgun-sized Hakenbüchse in Bern, Switzerland, and there is also one in Pilsen. But if you're looking for the earliest firearm, and not just the earliest European handheld firearm, then we have to go to China. Because the Xandu gun, which can be properly dated, that was manufactured in 1298, which means that it is 100 years older dated than the Tannenberg-büchse. So the Chinese were the first. The Europeans were only second. So today I will be talking about the Mörkö gun. We are going to try to solve its mysteries. But before we go on, please subscribe to the channel, that will help us grow. Please also note that the History of Weapons and War platform was shut down by the end of September, which means it is not existing anymore. So if you want more from Capandball, then your only choice now, it is our Patreon page, patreon.com/capandball. Here you will find exclusive content from me, exclusive videos, documents, papers, posts, images. So everything that is not posted here, which is not Google friendly, it is posted on Patreon. I think it's worth it. Thank you very much. I loaded the gun the simplest way possible. The powder charge was 60 grains of 1F Swiss powder, topped with a paper wet. Then came the 19mm pure lead round ball, and another paper wet to hold it in place. The Mörkö gun is old, it is very old, but we don't have any kind of historical context behind it, as it was found south of Stockholm, near the island of Mörkö, that's where it got the name from. In 1828, it was caught in the fishing net. So we don't have any kind of historical context behind it. The Mörkö gun is dated between 1350 and 1400. The cast bronze handgonnes appear sometime in the 14th century and disappear by the end of the 15th century. That's a long period, but within this period it is hard to tell when this gun was manufactured exactly. The item is small, only 198mm total length. The bore is smooth, its length is 117mm. The caliber is 21mm. The weight is 947 grams. The pen is shallow, rectangular, and has little walls on the sides. This repro I have in my hands was made by LT Customs in Italy, and it's a very fine repro. It resembles well the original specifications, except for the bore, which is 21 millimeters in this case. LT Customs actually replicated the inscriptions on the barrel as well, roughly. So please don't try to interpret the text using the images about the reproduction. Go for the original, use that as a basis. The bust on the top of the bore is often identified as Jesus Christ, but some think it's Odin himself. I won't decide that debate. My question is what its purpose was. In the 14th and 15th century, the handgonnes were held two ways. The first method was putting it under your armpit and with your other hand igniting the priming powder with a match cord. Now, it is very hard to aim with this kind of hold. The other method was based on the slow ignition or slow burning rate of the compressed meal powder used as priming powder. Now, if you compress that meal powder, it will give you 1 to 3 seconds of time. So after ignition, you could put it on your shoulder and aim with the gun, as we aim nearly the same today with modern guns. Now in this case, this bust can act some kind of primitive sight. A fellow historian, Pavel from Medieval Advisor, had an idea about its hold. The shaft that is today inserted into the socket of this gun is shorter than this. So he held the shaft in his chest and used the hook as a grip, and used probably the bust as a sight. Well, I know that this sounds strange, but actually, in a way it makes sense. We all know that the hook is for supporting the gun on the palisade or on the pavesa to reduce the recoil of the gun. But let's not forget that this is a short barrel, large caliber gun, which means that even if I fill this completely up with black powder and put just the bullet on the top, it will still not generate a high recoil. So probably Pavel has a good idea here. Let's check it.
It's a hit! It's a hit again.
So this actually works. It seems like it is much better to have a primitive sight like this on the top of the barrel than do not have a sight at all. The only problem that bothers me here is that when you're aiming with that sight, you don't see the priming pen, which means that you have to search with the match where your priming powder is, which is quite difficult sometimes. If this is a crude rear sight, then the concept can be close to the method of sighting of the early crossbows, where you were using the knuckle of your right hand as a rear sight and the tip of your arrow as a front sight, like this. It is quite similar. Of course, in case of the crossbows, you had the possibility to increase elevation by moving your thumb forward or moving your hand rearward for lower shots. But in case of the Mörkö gun, of course, this possibility does not exist. Of course, there is no front sight on the Mörkö gun. And if I hold the gun using the tip of the muzzle as a front sight and the top of the head as a rear sight, then I get an angle like a mortar. And this is surely a short-range weapon, so this cannot be. This is unbelievable like this. Now, the other possibility, if this is a sight, is to use its silhouette as a guidance, as a reference. So easily, I just put this silhouette on the enemy soldier from a distance where it is matching in size, and then I fire the gun. Now this is something to try. And in fact the concept is feasible, as the height where my aiming eye is from the shaft of the gun is nearly the same as the top of the bust, providing a parallel hold. Headshot! Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure about the use of this hook, whether if it was used for supporting the gun on the palisade to reduce the recoil or to use it as a handle, but this is a headshot. This is a headshot, ladies and gentlemen, and holding the gun like this is much more accurate. So this aiming method actually works, but you have to go so close to the enemy that it will stab you with a knife. So from a tactical point of view, well, this is questionable. So what other purpose it can have? Well, it can act as a flash shield, and actually it does it perfectly. There are hot gases breaking out at the touch hole on the top of the barrel with each shot that can burn your face or body. Well, this will prevent it, and this is actually working like a good flashguard. The problem I have with the flashguard concept that it is just too fancy. You can solve that problem much more easily. So there must be a different purpose behind it. As these kind of flashguards or sights are not common on the handgunners of the age, I think we will have to find some different purpose for this gun. Of course, this is a handgun. This is a handgun that will kill if you point it to the enemy. But based on the decoration and based on the artistic value of this bust, I think that it is more like a ceremonial gun, like the Böhler guns today that is used for festivals, for celebrations. So I really think that this is more like a religious item than a real military item. But probably I'm wrong, and if you think that I'm wrong, then please write it in the comment section. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. You've been watching the Capandball YouTube channel. If you like what I do, then please come to our Patreon page, patreon.com/capandball. Here you can find exclusive content from me, content that is not available anywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay cool and keep your powder dry.